27 up and 27 down. Those can be very exciting words in baseball, or not so much if you're on the wrong end. And today, the Rangers were. We'll explain what happened in the finale in Seattle as the DLLS Rangers podcast gets going right now. Well, the Rangers weren't exactly hitless in Seattle. The fifth batter of the game had one. That was Ezekiel Duran, but he was erased on the next play or the next hitter as it was a 5-4-3 double play. So it truly was 27 up and 27 down for George Kirby and two other Seattle Mariners pitchers. We welcome you into the studios here at the DLLS Sports Group, and it's the DLLS Rangers post-game podcast, and man, you just couldn't muster any offense today, Abs.
No, absolutely not. And, you know, maybe it is the Seattle Mariners in this City Connect uniform. They're 15-1 when they wear this uniform. It's the third day in a row that the team has worn these threads, and Dan Wilson, manager of the Seattle Mariners, said, I mean, we kind of just have to at this point, don't we?
Yeah.
And I guess the superstitious rule worked out in their favor.
Yeah, you just don't see a lot of games where a team is held to the minimum, where a pitching staff holds the opposing team to the minimum. I know it just happened with the Tigers, but it's still pretty rare. Obviously they know about it, and it's something it's a pretty rare feat to accomplish. So that's something that even though they took George Kirby out after 7. The other two bullpen guys had a lot to pitch for there. So good for the Mariners, bad for the Rangers. But it is always kind of, I'm a pitching guy, and it's kind of neat to see these things, just not necessarily at the expense of the team you cover.
Yeah, you're disgusted, at the end when it's 7-0, and you're like, but I wanted to see, was it really going to be a 27 up and 27 down game? Because to your point, Jeff, it is very rare. We want to know what you think about it, what you were doing toward the end of this one, or did you tune out of this one as you did the Cowboys game? Bad day for Dallas
bad day all
sports
around,
today,
guys.
wasn't it? As the Cowboys got beat up at home by the New Orleans Saints, and of course the Rangers lose the finale on the road. This long road trip is over, and the Rangers lose this one and lose the series. By the way, 3-1. Subscribe and chat with us if you would as we wrap this game up. There's lots to talk about, despite the fact that there weren't lots of hits, and always, Jeff, you hate tipping your hat to the other pitcher. But on a day like today, you have to.
Yeah, and the Rangers have seen it with George Kirby before.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like this is some guy who's a bum. He's a good young pitcher. Second half probably hasn't been as good as he would like, but I think Abby has the numbers, what he's done in his career, albeit a very brief career against the Rangers.
Yeah, I mean, he's had oddly enough, roller coaster of a season, but it seems that this roller coaster is on the up and up when he's taking on the Rangers, because now his record extends to 6-0, and unsure of the ERA after this game, but against the Rangers, he has a 1.08 ERA.
That was entering the start?
It's
under 1 now. So.
Yeah, so it goes under 1. There you go.
Sub-1 ERA. There are the numbers from today. But, I think Kirby was due for a bounce-back game because his last start was against the Padres. He gave up 5 runs on 7 hits, 5 innings pitched, a 7-3 loss. So he was probably itching for a win himself.
Well, it's like Jeff said in the pregame edition of our program today on the podcast. He said at the All-Star break, Kirby was basically the front runner to be the Cy Young Award winner. He had a great first half to the season, and then he's that roller coaster, man. It's been going straight down that hill pretty much ever since. But again, he lights up. His eyes light up. There are certain teams, certain guys love seeing clearly his eyes light up for the Rangers.
Yeah, and at the All-Star break, Tariq Skubal, the Tigers pitcher, who's probably going to win the thing.
As he should.
I mean, I have a vote, and I can't say who I'm going to vote for, but he's probably going to be on my ballot. And then Garrett Crochet was the big talk there, and he's fallen off. Corbin Burns is another candidate. I mean, the Mariners just have such good starting pitching. They really do, and it's young. It's under control. It's going to be a problem for a lot of years, and Kirby, he's just so good around the plate. He has two different fastballs that do. One goes left, one goes right. And it just kind of keeps the hitters guessing. And so, but yeah, you're right. I mean, he like I said pregame, he's the one who shut him down in 162 last year. So it's the Rangers need to solve that one because they're going to keep seeing him 3 or 4 times a year if he keeps this up.
In some ways, it is predictable, too, because, again, he has a couple of fastballs. He has a 4-seamer. He has a 2-seamer. And the reality is, Jeff, we know that the Rangers don't hit the fastball well. They're one of the worst fastball-hitting teams. And then, watching the pitches, Abby, his ball moves. Obviously, it sinks, too, but it moves side to side. It'll be outside of the strike zone and then sort of trickle back in at the end. And that's a very, very difficult pitch to commit to when you're a hitter.
Yeah, no doubt. And, his fastball was working today. It is odd that he only had 3 strikeouts. 2 of them did come on the fastball. Swings and misses, though. 41 misses and 15 of those on the fastball. So he was definitely dominant today. Rangers do have some issues with the fastball. He's throwing that pitch, one of the two, 57% of the time. So the Rangers just did not have good luck against something that they already struggle with to begin with.
Yeah, well, guys who are going to throw a lot of pitches in the strike zone or quality pitches in the strike zone, they're going to have efficient outs. Ball's going to get put in play. I mean, Greg Maddux, everybody talks about throwing a Maddux a complete game in less than 100 pitches. The start where he threw a complete game against the Cubs, 78 pitches, he actually allowed a run in that game.
Yeah.
He was just always around the plate and working efficiently. And hey, the hell with strikeouts, just get outs. That's
right.
and if you're getting your offense back in the dugout, and let's say they have a big inning, you go out and have a shutdown inning, and they're right back in there. That gives them fuel, gives them a chance, gets the fielders in rhythm. Nothing bad happens when you are getting efficient outs.
No, it's exactly right, and your pitch count stays low, as Kirby's did today. He certainly could have come out for the 8th inning pitch count wise, but he obviously they opted to go with the bullpen because their bullpen is certainly good too, and they go with the bullpen. But at that point, after the 7th inning, George Kirby had faced 21 hitters because again of the double play in the 2nd inning after the Ezekiel Duran single. It does speak to the bigger confounding problem, I guess we'd have to call it, of the Rangers offense. It's just never found its footing collectively this year.
Yeah, and they have had trouble in Seattle the last few seasons. It's just not a great place for them to play. But yeah, the offense this year, Josh Young and Adolis Garcia were out of the lineup. I don't think it would have made a difference.
No.
And then there's just going to be a lot of work that needs to be done. Tim Hires and Donnie Ecker, I'm sure, will dive into everybody's swing. I'm sure they've been diving into everybody's swing, the numbers, the biometrics, all that stuff, the advanced stuff that Donnie is such a believer in, and so is Tim. It's just they're going to be busy this offseason because the Rangers don't have a ton of free agents. They don't need to turn over the roster really, and they just need guys to produce at the levels they did for their career. I mean, Garcia, Heim, they're below their career numbers. Nathaniel Lowe is 4 or 5 off what he did last year on home runs, which isn't enough. His career high in home runs is 27, but he's had 17 the other 2 years. So these they have to figure that stuff out, and that's when you get into value. And are these guys, if this is going to be their production, is the value there? It's kind of like with Nomar Mazara. Nomar Mazara, who was a great young player, comes up, hits 20 home runs every year, and that's his ceiling all of a sudden. That's the top, and so you decide, can you do better, and you move on from him. So I'm not sure what what moves are in store. I know Chris Young is going to be very open-minded. He said the other day that they have a lot of work to do this offseason, and it's not just who's going to be back and who's not going to be back. As far as free agency is concerned, it's what are we going to do with some of these hitters? How are we going to get them fixed? And it's not going to be much of an offseason for the hitting coaches.
Rads, you did say that the Rangers struggled in offense today, but there was a former Ranger that did not. Mitch Garver, a 3-run home run, 2 singles today. And another little bit of good news is Julio Rodriguez did not hit a home run, which did not extend his streak to 4 games in a row. So that goes back to August 2023. So that's one. I like to be glass half full.
Sure. Check any of those positive boxes. Mine the positives, as I like to say. And speaking of, Jeff mentioned the offseason and the work that needs to be done. There were MLB writers all over the country saying that the free agency period has already begun for the Texas Rangers, who signed, some say, their biggest free agent, and that would be Chris Young. We got the news while they were in Seattle, that he has, re-signed. He's signed a contract extension, and not only that, but he's been promoted to become the president of baseball operations. And Jeff, it really is. It's nice to know, to have that certainty there. It either had to happen now or, right away in the offseason so that you can plan your offseason.
Yeah, and, Ray Davis doesn't talk to the media, and then Chris Young had flown off to Japan, and he I don't know how much he would divulge about his situation. Anyway, it's pretty weird because ultimately, when a player signs, a free agent signs, we get all the terms.
Yes.
But when a free agent or when a front office guy signs, never. And then if you ask them, they just don't say it. It's like, but you give us the player information.
Right.
Why not? So anyway, I'm not sure all the details, but a couple things strike me about it. One, he was promoted, which leaves a vacancy for general manager.
Sure.
So are you going to use that spot to promote Ross Fenstermaker, who other teams he's been spoken of as a future GM, might be somebody that other teams want. Dayton Moore, who Chris Young really likes and has helped the club since he was let go by the Royals. So there are a couple possibilities there. Maybe take something off of CY's plate, and then I don't know if. I wonder what assurances Chris Young got about the budget for next season and going forward. I don't know that he would want to start a rebuild or have to trade off a lot of guys. And if Ray Davis said, "Well, here's the plan for 2025," I don't know that Chris Young would have been entirely on board on that. Chris, as much as he enjoys his job and he feels like it's a civic obligation to have a good team and to be a steward of a championship team. He's from Dallas, lives right up the street from us. He had a very nice career and made a lot of money. His family is in a pretty good financial shape.
Yes.
He doesn't need to work.
No.
Okay, so if he's going to come to work, he probably wants it to be an enjoyable situation than where it's plausible that the Rangers are going to win and not have to strip down like we talked about a long time ago, the '97 Marlins,
right.
and sell off all these pieces. So there might be some of that, but let's say Ray Davis said the budget's going to be the same. No matter what happens to the TV contract, our budget will be the same as this year. That's a lot of money. The Rangers are working with the highest payroll in club history. So that's good. If he had some idea, or if they said, no, the TV contract isn't going to get there, it's going to be in good shape, this is what we think we have lined up, X, Y, and Z, then I think that would help him return. I also think that Chris Young, I feel like I keep calling him Chris Davis for whatever reason.
CY, make it easy.
If Chris Young is, him returning, I think assures that Bruce Bochy comes back. Now,
right.
I don't know that, he has another year under his contract, Bruce does, but and he's been kind of cagey about it. But I think that, the reason Bruce Bochy was so happy the other day is because he knows that Chris Young is going to be back. I mean, why would you want to come back for a year where you have to fit in with a new general manager
Nope.
and see if there's changes across the board. A new GM's going to want to bring in his own guys. So it could be that could have been a messy situation. So go into the offseason with the guy you've got who knows what you got. If you think you're that close to winning the World Series because you just did it, then don't shake things up and figure out what's wrong internally and solve it that way.
And get under that. I think one of the goals, too, is to try and get under that luxury tax threshold. So you'll have to lower the payroll just a little bit in order to do that. But that's where young, controllable pitching comes in, right?
That's right.
So they'll have an opportunity to, put obviously Leiter and Rocker out there as two in their starting five in order to make that happen. So, those are just some of the things that happened this weekend. We'll get into more of the things that happened during the game today. There was controversy and then controversy avoided that we will talk about. And we wonder if you were fired up about the Arozarena deal. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But first, we want you to engage in this wonderful app called Sleeper. And one among us has joined the ranks of Sleeper, Jeff.
That's right. Mrs. Wilson she downloaded the app last night. She used the promo code DLLS Rangers, and it was a full match up to $100. So she placed her first bet and lost it.
What was it?
That's fine. She and Henry picked. Jennifer did good on the TCU thing. She had Josh Hoover more than 2.5 touchdown passes and Savion Williams less than 55 yards. Henry though spit the bit on a couple of the baseball picks, and then I didn't quite get my two football picks, college game picks. So. I think I picked the Colorado State quarterback to throw for more than 250, the kid from Aledo. And then I think I picked something else, the Colorado receiver to have more than 70 yards, something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was a lot of fun, though, because, it does make you pay attention a little bit more. Anybody who's been to Las Vegas and has, bet on a game knows that it just adds a little more juice to your watching experience. So, yeah, it's legit, John. This DLS Rangers, they'll do it.
And
they're
going
to give you free money.
You hear from Jeff, a real user. He really is using this with his wife and with his son. It works, it's fun, and it's more than just fantasy football. It's betting on certain other things like how many yards a quarterback will get or how many touchdowns. So go to that app and use the promo code DLLS Rangers and get that $100 first deposit match. It's Sleeper. It's a great and fun app.
And then when you win all that money, you can look at your floors and be like, damn, I'm going to spend that on new flooring. And I am going to call Empire, because Empire is like Empire today is totally stress-free. They make the shopping experience easy for you. They have a low price guarantee. You don't even have to leave your house. You can just take a picture and they'll match it up, and you don't have to go into a store and feel overburdened by salespeople on your case trying to push you into something. They're really, really the best place to get new flooring. And there are copycats out there, but nobody can do it like Empire today. They keep it simple. God knows I need simple. They want to help you find what you need and not overwhelm you with information. They have the virtual floor designer. It's a great way. That's kind of what I'm talking about. Snapping a picture with your phone, and you can instantly see what the floors will look like in your room. And for us, it's our entryway and hallway that have been torn up by the kids. So look, schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive $350 off when they use the promo code DLLS. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/DLS for details.
Are you singing the jingle?
I'm not going to sing the jingle.
No, their jingle's cool. It's old. It's old school.
Elijah just played it. It was great.
Yeah, we were reminded.
Something sparked in my memory that I've heard that my whole life. I just didn't realize.
Didn't realize you had. Yeah, it's a great jingle. So one of these days, somebody
588-2300 Empire. Call 588-2300 Empire.
You
almost
just sang
there.
it.
That's almost singing.
There you go.
I like that. I like it a lot. I don't like the way the Rangers have played on the road this year. Right now, their record. They've got a few road games left. 30-45. after the
Sheesh.
loss on the road today. Now, last year, they finished the year 40-41, right? One game under 500, which is somewhat surprising when you figure they went 11-0 on the road in the postseason.
They were in a different mentality
Yeah,
then.
so you know, it just shows how crazy this game can be. But 30-45. This is a team that's played 7 games over 500 at home be 15 under on the road.
If they were 1 under on the road, they'd be contending for the West title right now, and that's just a strange one, you know. And,
it is,
you know, like a young team struggles on the road, but the Rangers aren't a young team. They have some young players, but it's not like a Chicago White Sox lineup or Oakland A's lineup that's filled with these young guys that haven't been around, and so that's a confounding one too. And you know, Rangers have been good in one-run games. We've talked about that, but it's just, you know, they went 1-5 on this road trip, you know, and you were hoping after what they did at home, what did they get, within 4 of 500? You were hoping, hey, you know, good little road trip here. But even Marcus Semien said it, we have to figure out a way to play better on the road, and they didn't. They just haven't done it. And I mean, today notwithstanding, the Seattle series was good. The 2 games in Arizona were not good. I think the Diamondbacks won those games by 20-4 combined score. That last game was just terrible with 13 extra base hits given up by Rangers pitchers. So, yeah, and I don't know how you fix that. You know, you just go out and play better, and that's all it is. It's kind of like the hitting thing. You know, at this point, it seems like there are things you can do with the hitting. You know, swing adjustments, changes in approach, whatever. But on the road, you just got to go out and do a better job than the other team.
I was going to say it's almost like they need a packing list, and at the top it needs to be Rangers offense.
Right.
Like, make sure you bring it with you. But it is interesting because, you know, they do have the opposite of that on home games, and they are so good in extra innings. They're undefeated at home in extra innings and things like that. But, you know, I was talking to Bobby Wilson, the Rangers catching coach, and he said it was during the finals when I was working with the Mavericks too, and he was like, how much does, you know, being away or home, you know, matter to an NBA Finals game? And I was like, I don't think it's half of what it is with baseball, but I mean, it contends, but it is, I mean, home advantage is so real with baseball, no doubt.
Well, it is, and one of the reasons is because fields are different, right? The dimensions can be different. Everything can be different in a different place. And we all know Seattle's not an easy place to hit anyway, right? So that's a pitcher's ballpark. You know, Globe Life Field is an easier place to hit. Plus, you're much more comfortable there, obviously, when you're at home. And then, to your point, the Rangers go and defy all of that last year and go 11-0 on the road in the postseason. So it's a crazy game. Baseball, it really
keeps
is.
You on your toes.
Yeah, it does keep you on your toes, and it keeps you guessing. And like Jeff says, it's why you struggle for the words sometimes. It's like they just need to do what they normally do, right? If they do what they normally do, if you play 500 on the road and win 2 out of 3 at home, you're gonna basically win your division and make the playoffs every year.
Yeah, and so, you know, what's different about it? At home, you're in the field first. Okay, so. I don't know. You know, I have to look back and dive into how do the Rangers do in the first inning? Do their starting pitchers struggle in the first in road games because they don't get to pitch first? Is it an opportunity to scoring first would really help out your starting pitcher, generate good momentum? How often on the road have the Rangers been the first team to score? So there are things, you know, little things that in theory work. You know, get out and score early. Does the pitcher need to start warming up later? I don't know. You know, just little things that could make adjustments in schedules, and maybe that would help. But it's been
it's like the 1% method.
Yeah, it's just been weird.
Yeah, it's been that's a strange baseball stat, as was 11-0. I mean, 11-0 during the postseason on the road is almost an unheard of baseball stat. It was history.
It was a record.
It was a record.
Have you heard of the 1% method?
I don't know the 1%.
The 1% method, it was actually used by somebody that did the triathlon, and they were like, we're not going to be the best statistically, we're looking at the talent, it's just not there. So we're going to do everything that we can with our food, with our pillows that we sleep on, with the gear that we train in, every single thing. They did the research and tried to get 1% better. Collectively, you add that 1%, and they ended up winning. And they really didn't change anything other than like things around them. So it's interesting concept. Food for thought.
Hard for me to imagine that my pillow is 1% worse than yours. You see what I'm saying?
But there are some guys who bring their own pillows.
Yeah, bring their pillows.
That's true.
Yeah, they pack their own pillows.
When we went to Frisco, we asked everyone's like road trip essentials. Every single player, not one player said anything different than their pillow.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
they're staying in little lesser hotels with the minor leaguers. I swear, some of those pillows we get in those team hotels on the road, whoo, man, you don't need. But I do know what you mean. I remember, in fact, I think it was Darvish was big on, if he slept wrong, he was going to have problems with his neck.
Yeah,
right?
there was a stretch there where he kept having little neck deals.
Yep.
So yeah,
I bet he got a new pillow.
I think Eric and Adele packed his own pillow.
Yeah. Okay. There you go.
Hey,
even announcers. Yeah. Even announcers. Yeah. Seventh inning of this game, there was a little bit of controversy. Look, Randy Arozarena has had a year from where, and we're going to compare his year to his best buddy here in a few minutes, and we'll talk about him versus Adolis. But first, this potential controversy that fortunately was fairly well averted. Now, Arozarena hits a home run. I mean, a bomb in that seventh inning. I mean, he just powdered that baseball. And look, Adolis does similar type things, and we like it. We enjoy Adolis enjoying the game and celebrating his accomplishments. And so for Arozarena, to me, as I watched him celebrate going around the bases, I felt like this was all about him feeling that sense of relief and that sense of, yes, finally, I haven't had a good year, but finally. And of course, he celebrated too much and too long, and it got under some of the Rangers' skin.
It is football Sunday.
And yeah, that's right. And Jonah, said something when he got back. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, there were a lot of theatrics there. It took him 33 seconds to get around the bases.
Yeah, it's a long time.
So that's too long. But it seemed like he did something at every base, and then after he touched home, continued it. Now Julio Rodriguez the other night, when he hit the home run in the eighth inning that put the Mariners ahead, he flung his bat in the air and looked at the dugout and screamed. But then he ran around the bases.
Yeah,
it's pretty funny that this came up because T.R. Sullivan did another story for DLLS about Cole Hamels and how the Cole Hamels era was short and sweet. But 2015, when Hamels came in and was great, he pitched Game 5 of the ALDS at Toronto, and the inning fell apart. The sixth inning fell apart with Elvis making a couple errors. But Jose Bautista hit that big home run and flipped his bat.
As he does.
And this was almost 10 years ago now, and the Rangers were hot.
Yeah.
They were not happy. Cole Hamels said, we hope when you play the game, you can be professional. And so that got under the Rangers' skin. And of course, it carried over into next year, and the Odor Batista brawl and all of that stuff. So to finish our story on Arozarena, he got hit the next inning by Garabito. It was like on the fifth pitch of the at bat. It was a fastball that hit him in the forearm where he had tons of protection. And Arozarena pointed to the dugout, hey, calm down. So that told me a couple things. One, he was mindful enough to think, hey, we're in a playoff spot. We don't need anybody getting suspended or getting hurt, going out and getting in a dog pile on the field. All right. Or two, he's like, they have a point. I was a real jerk. All right. So I went a little too far.
A little bit of both.
I had it coming.
I can get
so
that.
I just think that, I did wonder, Jonah Heim batted second in the ninth.
Yep.
And I thought, well, maybe they'll hit Jonah. But then I was like, no, because they're going for the minimum. They don't want to
jeopardize,
spoil that by trying to plunk Jonah Heim. So anyway, just some thoughts there. But the broadcast, when you're there, you can feel it a little bit more.
Sure.
The broadcasters, Dave and Mike, had a pretty good feel for it. So it was a big deal, and maybe another time, it might have gotten Arozarena drilled, or maybe it would in the next game tomorrow. But I think this one's been put to sleep.
Yeah, and Mike Bassick, our buddy who pitched in the major leagues and was on the broadcast, was more disgusted than Dave was, right? I mean, that becomes an affront to you as a player to watch something like that happen. And Mike counted them. He said there were 6 celebrations overall. One on each base and one before and one after. So that's a lot of celebrating for one home run that at that point, didn't matter much. The Rangers didn't have any runs anyway. So
that's a theme today because Derek Carr also celebrated a little. He doesn't really celebrate when he runs in a touchdown, but he did against the Cowboys today. So just tough day overall.
Tough day for the Dallas teams. No doubt about that. Not such a terrible weekend for the Rangers. As Jeff alluded to, the other 3 games were really good. They won Thursday night in the Kumar Rocker debut, his major league debut, and then they followed that up with pitching performances by Jacob deGrom, his season debut at the major league level, and then, of course, yesterday Max Scherzer and Jack Leiter pitched. And let us remind you of what those numbers were like for the 3 starters in those 3 games. Interestingly, each of the games was a 5-4 final, the Rangers winning game 1 5-4 and losing the other 2 by that same 5-4 count. But it was a glimpse, I think, into the future of what this pitching can be.
It's the most positive thing over the weekend, for sure. Let's take a look at the numbers if we have them. There you go. I was thinking maybe we could each say something positive that we picked up on, and then just how it's going to play into the rest of the season. We talked about the rotation and bullpen, stuff like that. So what'd you like from Rocker, deGrom, and Scherzer?
Oh, something from each?
Yeah.
Yes, so Rocker poise. Right?
Yeah.
He gets in his major league debut, he's out there, and they start with a couple of singles, right? He also had an inning where he walked 2 batters, and he was able to work around each of those situations. That kind of poise, that kind of, demeanor out on the mound is wise and experienced way beyond his years, and I think it shows you the kind of pitcher and the kind of mentality that he is going to have. From deGrom, I think there's really nothing not to like. I liked almost everything about the way he was pitching because the arm felt good, right? We know he can do it. It was all about when he came out and then when he talked to the media after the game. And actually, I don't know if Jeff had a chance, or you weren't even there to talk to him the next day, because that would have been today. Yeah, that's right. Again, sometimes it matters how it feels the next day, but it felt great as he came out of the game. So that was really good. And for Scherzer, I thought his command was really nice, and he worked both sides of the plate. There was a lot to like about Scherzer's performance as well.
Yeah, he loved his stuff. With Rocker, I loved that his stuff easily translated. I'll make mine quick. I love that his stuff easily translated. With deGrom, again, just the joy that he brings to the game. We know who Jacob deGrom is. It was great to see that his stuff still works, but just the joy, sparkle in his eyes. And with Scherzer, I thought that the command was great too, but I'm going to take it in a different direction. I liked seeing that Leiter was able to offer some relief in those situations as well.
Ditto.
Same. Good. Okay.
Everybody got it. Yep, I got nothing to add to that.
That's very good. Yeah, that is a quick breakdown of what happened this weekend, and we will get into what has happened this season with both Arozarena and his best buddy, Adolis Garcia. We've got that to talk about and some other things to do as well as we get you ready for the next homestand, the final homestand of the season. But first, I want to tell you about Indeed. I think you already know about Indeed, because if you need to hire somebody,
you do.
You need Indeed. It is such a fantastic site for anyone who is looking to hire someone. Obviously, it's a fantastic site for those people who are looking for jobs too, but as someone who's doing the hiring, you're looking for the best possible candidate. Indeed does not search for you. They match for you. That's their whole thing. They find the match and they find the person that is just right for your job. So right now, there are, 3.5 million companies across the world that are using Indeed, which basically speaks to what a successful organization, what a successful group this company has become. And it basically speaks to how well they do at matching each company, each opening with the best possible candidate. So we invite you to join us. You visit Indeed.com/AllCity, and you will get a $75 sponsored job credit. What that does is put your job in a higher profile. It gives that job posting more visibility, and that way you get the best candidate. Indeed will do that for you. Indeed will promise that if you need to hire someone, you need Indeed.
And I'm from Alabama, and a few things that we find essential are good coolers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Good coolers, because it gets hot. People say that it's hot here. It is temperature hot, but it is humidity hot in Alabama. And there's a difference. So every now and again, you just need to pack a good cooler. Some nice ice water, other drinks if you want them. And
can we put beer in there? We're going to throw a little beer?
You can.
Okay, thank you. I just making sure it's a weekend and all.
You can.
Yeah.
Sometimes snacks, but then you want to go on the lake where I'm from. We have a great lake. This one's floatable. So our friends at Rugged Road Outdoors have the best cooler on the market. We're going to have a promo code DLLS for 10% off, but this thing is meant to be like everyday usage and built to last. It's durable, it's dependable. It's also versatile, so you can take it fishing, tubing, camping, tailgating. You take it out to the baseball fields.
Yeah.
Watch your son.
Yeah, we had some tournament games this weekend, and we had our janky little cooler that
You need a Rugged Road.
we need an upgrade.
Yeah.
And are they going to have pimento cheese sandwiches?
Well, if I put them in there, yeah.
Yeah.
Just pack it extra for your coworkers.
And
Thanks.
they're really light too. That's
They
the
are
thing
light.
that's great about the Rugged Road. The technology, they're well insulated, super well insulated to keep everything very cold, but they're not heavy like some of them.
Land or water. I mean, I like a good arm workout, but when you got to carry it everywhere and all day long, I think I'm going to take the easy thing. So go to Rugged Road before your next outdoor adventure. It's reliable, durable, and built to be used. Rugged Road is your ultimate outdoor companion. Head to ruggedroadoutdoors.com. Use code DLLS for 10% off.
Yeah, that's great. We appreciate you, Rugged Road, and we appreciate you supporting all of our sponsors. So, when we've talked a lot about Adolis Garcia having the struggles that he's had offensively pretty much all season long. He and Arozarena are best of friends, and I believe workout partners in the offseason. Was that still the case last year?
I believe so.
Yeah.
And they came up, obviously from Cuba. They were in the Cardinals organization together and were roommates back then. So great story, the both of them.
Wonderful stories.
Becoming Major League Baseball players, making this tough choice to leave Cuba. Adolis had a little longer stay in the minor leagues, didn't quite get it figured out. Arozarena came up and the end of 2020, the COVID year, and just dominated in the postseason.
Tore it up through the postseason.
Was Rookie of the Year the next year. So, good stories, but it's weird how they are both struggling at the same clip this year. It's very, very strange that they have very similar numbers, and it's pretty unique. And I don't know anything about what they did in the offseason as far as a hitting program, but I mean, just look at those numbers. It's crazy how similar they are. And Tampa Bay is a pretty neutral hitting ballpark, where Arozarena spent half the season. It is not neutral in Seattle, no matter how far they bring in the fences. But man, they've played the same number of games. It's just that's
what sticks out
really
to you the most.
surprising. The averages stick out to me the most. I mean, these guys aren't. These guys are never going to win batting title, but they're not they're sub 220 hitters.
Yeah, they're 250
and
guys.
really Arozarena at 219 is way up for him. Garcia never got below 200. Arozarena spent a lot of the season below 200. So pretty astounding that they're so similar. So you wonder, are they commiserating together?
Yeah.
Well, who's their offseason?
You're going down. I'm going down with you.
Who's their offseason hitting coach? Not sure, but it's probably not a coincidence.
Yeah, whatever they did last offseason, they need to make sure they don't do that again this offseason. And I know the previous offseason they spent together as well, and both had really good years last year. They thoroughly enjoyed. I remember the first series down there in Tampa, that time when the Lows played against each other for the very first time at the major league level. But, Arozarena and Adolis were kind of right at the top of their games, and both loving not only their success, but absolutely loving the success that their buddy was having. And, it was a fun, spirited, happy rivalry, the likes of which we used to see from Adrian Beltre and Martinez. King Felix, yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Felix Hernandez.
Hernandez, yeah.
And then Miguel Cabrera would get into it with Adrian too. But
yeah. And again, with King Felix, that was a different thing because he was a pitcher.
Right.
But they still had that fun with each other,
Sure.
and you saw that with Arozarena, and certainly you saw it with Adolis last year too. Today is the first day of Hispanic Heritage Month, and that is a reason for so many of these Major League Baseball players to celebrate. It's also Roberto Clemente Day, and we saw that before the game today from both teams. Players went out onto the field carrying flags, and we were told, Arozarena had one from Mexico and one from Cuba. Of course, Adolis had one from Cuba. They had a flag that represented their country of origin. That pride never goes away, and a guy like Roberto Clemente paved the way. In some ways, he was the Jackie Robinson for the Latin player.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And Arozarena wore 21 today. They said that they had to overnight ship that jersey just so that it would get in because he wanted to stay on the City Connect trend. But, yeah, I mean, I was going to say Arozarena definitely had a better outing today, but the last 3 days, I mean, he couldn't buy a hit off of Rocker, DeGrom, and Scherzer. But, yeah, I mean, I think today means a lot to him and Adolis Garcia, and Adolis wasn't in today, but he wanted to show up, and he did.
A point I didn't make earlier about talking about Arozarena is, in Latin America they celebrate baseball. Like the winter leagues, it's raucous, and they'll pimp a home run. They'll celebrate, and same thing in Korea, they do that too. So part of that is just who they are and what they do. And Arozarena has Mexican residency citizenship because when he defected, he became his pathway was through Mexico. So he represented them in the World Baseball Classic, represented them today. But, there's a great passion, a great joy for baseball. And Clemente was broke in 1955, so that was 7 years after Jackie Robinson. Really, Jackie Robinson obviously opened it up to everybody. Larry Doby, too. Larry Doby doesn't get enough attention for doing that in the American League. But, Roberto Clemente wasn't the first Latino player, but he was in that first wave, and he was so great. And, I don't know, you can point to a lot of guys, but just the impact that they had on the game. And so for Hispanic Heritage Month to start on, and Roberto Clemente be honored, it's a pretty symbolic and big thing for what Latin players have done for the game.
Yeah, and too, like winter baseball, I think that is just a very pivotal thing to a player's career. My mom and dad have stories for days about those times there, and it was early on in the marriage, and you're trying to kind of work out some things. But yeah, I think it's a really important step of baseball. Not everyone has to do it, but I think if you get to do it, it's a good opportunity.
It's funny. So many do it, and what happens when you go to a foreign country is you really do bond, especially with the other major leaguers that are there, even if they're not your teammates. So my friend Tom Grieve still tells stories and still has great friendships from his only sort of relationship with these people, having been when he played with them in Venezuela. And he has, like your folks, Tom has some great stories about Venezuela. But whenever we would see Frank White, who at the time was one of the announcers for the Kansas City Royals broadcast, Tom would always say Franco Blanco, because that was his name in Venezuela, Franco Blanco. So those types of things, right? And you could just tell. I mean, these men are now at that point, they were probably 40 years more removed from their experience in Venezuela, but you got them back together, and it was just like they were, they were
like
kids
old
again.
times.
Well, and there was a time when guys had to work in the off season.
Right.
And you could go to Venezuela or the Dominican and get paid to play baseball. And Ron Washington did it. And Ron Washington did it because he knew that every spring he had to win a job. And so he wanted to go to the Dominican with, the season ends just before spring training. The winter ball season ends just before spring training starts here. And so he wanted to go down there and get in a rhythm so that when he got to spring training, he was in shape.
Yeah.
And he wasn't behind. He had seen the pitching. He could get hits and build his case to make a roster. So there's a lot of purpose for it. Now when guys go, maybe there is some financial incentive, but it's to work on
reps.
something.
Yep.
Josh Smith did it last year. It was only a couple weeks, but it turned out to be he saw pitching and could get feedback with his swing
obviously
changes.
Helped him a bit.
Jonathan Ornella said he's going to go this year. It's good for young players, young guys that are right on the cusp of the majors going down there. I don't think the Rangers like their pitchers going down there unless they've been hurt and need to catch up innings. So, I wouldn't be surprised if there were more than Jonathan Ornelas going down there. And then you get to see, Natali Feliz will still pop up on a Winter League roster.
Right. Yeah.
And Alexi Ogando. Those guys pop up too. So it's fun to just look at the rosters and be like, oh, yeah, that guy was a pretty good major leaguer. And,
Sure.
He's still going. So they just love baseball down there.
Yeah, it's an unbelievable experience, and to hear like an Elvis Andrus talk about when their two top baseball teams play against each other, the only thing he could liken it to then was the Yankees and the Red Sox. Now you could probably liken it to some of those Houston Astros, Texas Rangers ALCS games last year as well. But that's how crazy and passionate the fan base became on things like that. So anyway, that's something about winter ball and something about the respect we all have for what happens down there, and the respect we all have for the Latino player, and it's Hispanic Heritage Month. So congratulations to all of those players, and thank goodness for someone like Roberto Clemente. Now, Abby, it's time. We have to talk a little bit about something that all of our fans need to be. Yeah.
That's a diehard. Let me tell you why you need to be a diehard, because this guy writes exclusive content. Have you put anything behind a paywall yet?
Nope, not yet. But
Jeff,
I'm working on something this week. Big. This week there will be, I'm not going to give it away, but you're going to want to be a diehard for it. No sneak peeks.
Okay, no sneak peeks. So I guess you quite literally just have to become a diehard to figure out what it is. But when you become a diehard, you get a free T-shirt every single year, I learned, which is pretty nice because if you really do the math, it's not that much.
No.
It's like a Whataburger at the baseball park. So become a diehard. We are going to hopefully take some trips and plan some events.
Yeah.
Jeff's really set on spring training. I would love that as well. Maybe a little dip in the pool at minor leagues. They did that in Arizona. I don't think we would be partaking.
Yeah, Frisco's got the lazy river.
In that one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Rad said he'll drink a beer with you. So anyway, you get 20% off on the events, 20% off on merchandise, and then you get exclusive content as well. And we have daily shows coming to you. So many other things. We've got great talent on all of our beats. Mark Stein is with the Mavericks. We've got Clarence Hill with the Cowboys, the one and only Jeff Wilson with the Rangers. So many things. Become a diehard today at ALLDLLS.com.
And if you're a diehard, you know what you need? Merch.
Oh yeah.
A shirt.
Yeah. So you gotta get some clothes to go with it at store.allcitynetwork.com. Here's the deal. I mean, when you're a diehard, you get, the shirt. You get a shirt for every year that you're a member, and we got some really good stuff, and we're gonna get more. Is the thing.
Say if you buy more, I think that they create cooler stuff.
Yeah, I've got 3 that have been pre-ordered.
3 now.
4. I bought 3,
counting the one that they're giving us.
The other one. That's right. So once I get my stuff, it should be late next week. I'm going to be pretty damn sharp.
Nice.
Because I'm going to have a lot of our stuff. But yeah, so store.allcitynetwork.com. You can shop by city because we also have affiliates in Chicago, Phoenix, Denver, where my family resides. And did I say Philadelphia? Philadelphia. Nope. And then, or you can shop by product type: accessories, hats, sweatshirts, T-shirts, gift cards. Gift cards, the gift that keeps giving all year long. You can give it at any time. I think Columbus Day is coming up, so we need a big Columbus Day celebration. Halloween, sure. You know what?
Rockers home debut.
All Saints Day. My birthday, Thanksgiving. So whatever you need, we can do it here at store.allcitynetwork.com. So get a shirt, run into us, say, hey, check out my shirt. Abby will take a picture with you. I'll acknowledge your presence and speak to you and ask you if you want to go have a beer.
Yeah, I'll drink a beer with you. I'll drink a beer with anybody, really.
I know.
Yeah. That's I'm that kind of guy. Was drinking with the Stars crew the other night.
Yeah,
that
you
was
had
great.
a fun day.
That was
couple
a fun.
of brewskis.
Yeah, it was a fun day. So anyway, yeah, we want you to be diehards, and we want you to have the merch. You're going to want the merch anyway, so it's all good. Okay, the Rangers come home. Final homestand of the year. I have to tell you, as fans, this is sort of can't miss homestand.
I agree.
For the reason that you're going to see Kamar Rocker on Thursday. We'll get to the rotation in just a moment. You're going to see Rocker on Thursday. But also, the Rangers, I think, do a great job on this final homestand of the year celebrating their fans in so many different ways. They thank the fans for all the support that they have given them. And look, for as much as the team has struggled, relatively speaking, this year, the fans have been fantastic. They've been packing that ballpark
They really have.
all season long. This is not lost on the Rangers, and they will absolutely reciprocate with as many fun things as they can do over the course of this last homestand.
One being the Adolis Garcia cartwheel bobblehead.
Yeah. Next Saturday, right? Yeah, the 21st.
Mariners game. I will bring you guys one back.
Beautiful.
I can't wait.
What day is that?
Saturday.
Well, yeah, get your tickets for Saturday. Rangers have had really good attendance. Obviously they're coming off the World Series and all of that jazz, and it makes sense that they would have good attendance. But they're probably going to beat. They're only 100,000 fans below their attendance last year, so the attendance this year is going to be better.
It's amazing.
That goes for the average, the total attendance. I can't overstate how much the roof helps with that. Especially in the summer months. But another big thing is, that a baseball game is going to be played on time.
True.
Every night. Every game is going to start on time, whether it's pouring rain outside or whether it's 155 degrees. That baseball is going to be played, and that's a big thing too. You don't have to be sitting in Collin County wondering, oh man, where's that storm cell coming?
Drive, yeah.
Am I going to drive that far and just have to sit around for 4 hours to watch a baseball game? Nope. You can go. You're going to start at 7:05. You're going to be out of there by 9:30, 10.
Yeah.
Home by 11. It's the roofs. Obviously, it makes things better for the players, but
And Bruce
they
Bochy
built that for the
specifically.
fans.
They did.
They built it for the fans. So whatever you want to say about Ray Davis, hats off to Ray Davis for building, helping build that
It's an
ballpark.
elite stadium.
And they did that pitch clock for the fans, too.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
And that
Pitch
is
clock.
why you will be able to get home by 11. I mean, gosh, the first 3 innings of this one today took all of 1 hour. I'm like, oh, my gosh, we're back on 3-hour pace. And we can't blame George Kirby for that.
No.
I mean, that was,
he was stellar. I'm really going to give him his flowers today.
The truth is, Andrew Heaney, he gave up 3 in that first inning. But other than that, he worked himself into and out of trouble in every inning except the fourth. He did have a 1-2-3 fourth inning, but it was a little bit more of a laborious outing for Andrew than certainly his last one was.
Well, and you can make a very good argument that that first inning should have been scoreless.
True.
He threw
Agreed.
a pitch to I think it was Arozarena.
Yep.
That was right at the bottom of the strike zone. Should have been strike 3. The umpire completely blew it. The umpire missed the first pitch from Heaney of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, it was squarely in the rectangle or the square, whatever you want to call it, the box, and I think Heaney was confused by it.
He was.
Like, what happened here?
Yeah.
So, but Andrew, he again didn't get the run support. It looked like it was a one-time thing. He's going to make 2 more starts this year. We've talked about it before. He's put himself in a really good position to head into free agency. He's not old by any means. He's 33, I believe. He's going to help a team out next year. And again, Chris Young said that they haven't closed the doors on anybody. Just depending on what happens with like we talked about way back in the beginning with the payroll and are they going to have to shed guys and stuff like that. So, but a great season for him. and I know he hasn't been thrilled with it because he has 14 losses now, which is tied for the major league lead. But as we've said since we've started this show, he's not he has pitched well better than a 14 game loser. The other guys, Chris Flexen's one of them with the White Sox, and his ERA is not as good as Andrew Heaney's. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. Andrew Heaney has pitched extremely well this season, and obviously it's one of those cases where Andrew Heaney deserves better, but he just didn't have it. And as Jeff mentioned, might have gotten out of that first without any runs scored, and then unfortunately it looks like it wouldn't have mattered because somehow at some point they would have scraped a run across.
Okay, so it's let's say that doesn't happen.
Right.
All right. Let's say it's 1-0 in the 6th.
Yeah.
That changes everything. It changes how you pitch.
It does.
It puts a little more pressure on the opposing pitchers. But anyway, also you could say, well, Andrew, make a pitch to Mitch Garver, who's hitting 170.
Yeah.
And anyway, that's for another.
A different argument, different
devil's
day.
advocate, whatever you want to say. One thing I'm looking forward to on the homestand is seeing Corey Seager. Hopefully, Natalie has asked a question about is he going to stay at shortstop or is he going to have to move off of shortstop because he's had hernias the last 2 years. I think he's still going to be a shortstop.
Yeah.
He's only 30. He's not a bad shortstop. I don't know where people get off this saying he's not a good shortstop. He is a good shortstop. He has a Gold Glove finalist last year. He makes the plays he's supposed to make, and that's the number one thing you'd want from any position. If the ball's hit at you, catch it and make the dang play. And he does that. He's great on pop-ups. I don't know what his range factor and all that is, and I think some of that is subjective anyway. But I think that Corey Seager will be a shortstop for at least a few more years. And then I hope he is in Arlington. I would assume that he is after the surgery. There's still 2 weeks of seasons left, and the Rangers are going to want him around to monitor him. Maybe give him some things to do after the surgery to work on core strengthening, all of that stuff. And Corey likes being around the guys.
Yep.
He really does. So I don't think he's packed it in yet and is off in his home in the Nashville area. I think that Corey had surgery Friday. Maybe he's convalescing for a few extra days in Arizona till it's not god-awful sore to travel. And then he'll take the short flight back here and hang out at the ballpark for a few days.
Yeah, that'd be nice to see. And let's take a look at the rotation for this upcoming series. This is the one against Toronto, and it's lovely. I mean, it's Evo and then Cody Bradford, who's just been pitching so well this season, and then your first opportunity at home to see Kumar Rocker. He went 73, 74 pitches first time out. You can expect him to go a little longer than that this time, and the way he gets movement on that pitch and all that stuff, that may take him deep into the game because he's as hard to hit in many cases as what we saw from Kirby today.
Yeah, and the Blue Jays are in a similar situation with the Rangers, actually, because they're hoping to finish above 500. They've made the postseason the last 2 years. They've been hot as of lately, won 16 of the last 30, but they actually have to win 10 of 13 to avoid a losing season. So it's a little bit similar of a boat. And then they're going to keep their eyes on Vladdy Jr. He's hitting .320 with 28 home runs, 96 RBI in 2024.
Yeah, and that's exactly, you're right. No, that's not exactly what the Rangers need now. They need to be better than 10. They only have 12 left.
Right? Yeah.
Oh, he's Guerrero's a free agent after the year.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a big storyline in the offseason where he and Pete Alonso are both free agents. So those are two big right-handed bat first basemen who could land a bucket of money somewhere. The Blue Jays have money. They're owned by I think the
TV group up there, which is Rogers Sportsnet.
So
that's right. Yeah,
there's no shortage of money. I'm interested to see how Cody Bradford will bounce back from his rough outing at Arizona. But right-handed bats, you got George Springer leading off, and Vladdy, and then Alejandro Kirk, who can be off and on, but not a bad little catcher for you. So we'll see how that goes. Last 6 games, get out there, and you're going to see Rocker, like we talked about. You're going to see DeGrom. You're going to see Scherzer for the last time with your own eyes, that live in person. So get out there.
You know, when we looked it up, that there's only 8 guys hitting above 300 at the major league level.
I know.
So like 320, you don't see that
No,
every
right?
day, sadly.
Yeah, that's a
hot bat.
rarity in this day and age. It is. So, and part of the reason is because these pitchers are so good. And yeah,
saw it
Jeff
today.
alluded to it, but it's this weekend that you'll see DeGrom and Scherzer. They will follow Rocker, so you presume it'll be Friday and Saturday for DeGrom and Scherzer back on the hill too. So, should be a great homestand. It will be a lot of fun. We'll be here at 1 o'clock. Pretty much every day this week. We've got a pregame show on Getaway Day at 1, and we've got a 1 o'clock regular Rangers, DLLS Rangers podcast coming each and every day at 1 o'clock this week. So
Well,
other than tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because they're off. We don't podcast when they're off, but we hope you'll be here with us too. Tuesday through Friday, 1 o'clock.
p.m.
That's the time to be here. That's the time for all of us to have fun together again. Thanks for joining us today. And
Go
we'll
watch some
see
Sunday
you this
Night
week.
Football.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
We all silly like the mayor.